Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Bench. I am Rocco Granato from InLacrosseWeTrust.com, and with me, as usual, from LaxPhilly.com is Gary Grube. Gary, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, Rocco. I'm good. Now that we know who the finals is, making my travel plans, get the Yinglings ready, and away we go.
Yes, and I'm doing the same thing here on my end, looking forward to the weekend of June 1st and 2nd. The first actually being a Friday. We're going to get in on Friday night. June 2nd is game 2. Yeah, I know we're jumping ahead, but on that day, on June 2nd, we will have a live Behind the Bench show. It will be put up on Facebook Live, most likely on the Behind the Bench page. So for those listening to the show, make sure you like our page, join it, because not only is it just going to be Gary and I being, showing our faces, but there are a whole bunch of Rush fans coming down, including the Hulk. And we will have him live. Don't know if he will be in costume or out of costume. But he will be on the show, as well as probably some other Rush fans. And kudos to the Rochester Nighthawks. They are allowing him to wear his outfit, what he wears to the Saskatchewan Rush games. They're allowing him to wear it in the arena and do what he would normally do. So that's really great. What the Rochester is doing.
Calgary, hello Calgary. Anybody in Calgary? Yes, hello Calgary. Maybe you'd like to take a note or two. Yep. Let's move on.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to let him onto the field or not, but I know he's allowed to wear his whole costume in the Blue Cross Arena. So
yes, Calgary, this is how we do PR correctly.
Yes. And I've started mentioning to the people in Saskatchewan, depending on what hotel they're staying at, it's all walking distance. You must go to the stock exchange for pre and post game. The food there is phenomenal. The drink prices are phenomenal as well. Gary, you could attest to that. And
I'd rather enjoy my Yinglings there.
Yes. And it's going to be one hell of a weekend. It really is. But first things first, game 1 will be next week, next Saturday. Memorial Day weekend here in the States on May 26th. I'm sorry, I'm saying March. May 26th at 9:30 in Saskatchewan is game 1. Game 2 is at 8 p.m. on June 2nd. Game 3 most likely will be June 9th if necessary. These games can be seen on NLL TV, on Twitter, and also if you have the CBS Sports Network, it's going to be shown on there as well. I do believe, if I read the article correctly. But Gary, first let's break down the two games.
All right.
The first game we had was on Saturday night. It said there was 4,100 people in the stands. I don't think there was. Yeah. Rochester and Georgia. Last
4,100 people.
Yes.
I don't think that 4,100 people live in Duluth, do they?
No. Last time Rochester was in the playoffs was in 2015. They finally made it back, and for the first half, it was Miles Thompson against Cody Jamieson. they were matching each other goal for goal. If Cody got a power play goal, Miles got a power play goal. Miles scored even strength, Cody scored even strength. It was a defensive battle. The goalies came up huge in the first 3 quarters. And
the teams looked rather tight in the first half.
Yeah.
They were missing an awful lot of shots that they normally hit nets on. And a lot of ricochets and a lot of back and forth stuff. Now, yeah, both goalies did play well, but both teams really, they're discombobulated offensively entirely. Some of it was attested to the defense, but most of it was just they were discombobulated.
Yeah,
we were hoping at the half that they would try and do some adjustments and fix this. And in the third, well, it was more to do with goaltending than it was to do with just discombobulation. But somewhere along the end of the third into the fourth, something clicked. Something clicked.
Yes, yeah.
Suddenly we had a different game going.
Yeah, something clicked big time because in the first 3 quarters, the teams combined for a total of 7 goals. The fourth quarter alone, they combined for 10. But, I mean, this was, I think the first half, I mean, we talked about it briefly. We sent a couple messages up and back. I think both teams were trying to get the early jump on the other. And they were just firing at anything imaginable. Just trying to, pepper the opposing goalie and just trying to jump out to a quick early lead and try to take it from there.
I was playing at one point because I was seeing shots from everywhere.
Yeah.
And nothing close.
No.
So, who knew? Who knew they'd use that game plan? But I'm glad they changed.
Yeah.
We had some weird challenges there in the fourth, which is bizarre. And they all came back as inconclusive, like always, because the camera angles in Georgia aren't great.
Yeah.
Which hopefully with the new Turner TV next year and all the upgrades in all the arenas, we're not going to have a problem with this.
Yeah, they need to always have an overhead camera, and they need to have one come from the sides or somewhere where you get a good angle on, from something out in front. But I think an overhead shot is necessary.
Necessary, and you need to have the time stamped on there too.
Yes.
But that being said, the weirdest one I had seen was the Lyle Thompson goal being waved off. And then we turned around and down the floor we went, and Austin Shanks scored for Rochester. We only had to review one thing, but it had 2 different things. It became a 2-goal swing because of this thing.
Yeah.
They waved off the Lyle Thompson goal because it was inconclusive, which seems to be the big word of the day there.
Mm-hmm.
And bang, and Shanks was left alone, and he fired in. It was just a nice goal.
Right, and that turned out to be the game-winning goal.
Yes, it did.
I mean, you went from possibly, if it would have been overturned, to being an 8-8 game with, just over 8 minutes to go. Yeah.
But, again, you would think that Rochester was pulling ahead. They scored the 3-goal run in the fourth. They scored 4 of the first 5 in that quarter. And then Georgia doesn't lay down, and Miles Thompson and Lyle Thompson to the rescue, and they score the next 3 and bring it within an 8-7 game at that stage.
Yeah, what was crazy was that Miles Thompson, he had 4 goals, and Lyle only had 1.
Yeah.
So it looked like Rochester was playing the game of, hey, we're going to slide over and double Lyle. We want to see if Miles can beat us. Miles and everybody else.
There was even a Jerome Thompson sighting in this game. We haven't seen him since middle of the year.
Yeah.
So, pulling all the stops. But, the one who I would give credit to is Matt Bintz. Because in the fourth, over and above anything else, this man stood on his head. He made saves that were just absolutely incredible.
Yes.
And time again. Because how many times did Rochester clear these little lobs directly to Lyle Thompson?
Thompson, right.
At least 3 different times this happened. And at least 3 different times Matt Bintz had to stand up on his head and make these ridiculous
Oh, definitely. And with the number of saves that he made, he is now the all-time leader in playoff saves.
Yeah, he passed both Pat O'Toole and Dallas Ilyak.
Yeah.
Two fairly good goalies, I would say.
Yeah. He passed Dallas last week, the semifinal game, and he passed Patty O'Toole this week. And also, with the win, Coach Mike Hazen is now tied for second with 14 playoff wins with Troy Cordingley and Derek Keenan. All three of those coaches have 14 playoff wins. So whoever wins this series is going to have bragging rights for second place in there. But yeah, Matt Vince stood on his head. And yeah, we said this, I don't know how many times this year, that, a goalie can, steal a game and just carry the team. And Matt Vince is just that type of goalie. 9-8, seriously, with the scoring power that Georgia has with the Thompsons and Randy Stotts and, throwing Jordan Hall there. And
well, the interesting thing is they didn't have Kyle Matisse in the lineup. That was interesting to me.
Yeah, I found that kind of strange, and nothing was really said as to why.
No, nothing at all.
I don't know if it was a personal reason or don't know. You could draw your own conclusion on what it could be. But he wasn't in the lineup, and he may not be in Georgia's plans anymore. Who knows? Because now these teams that have been eliminated are now going to start looking at their rosters and say, okay, we're protecting this guy, we're not protecting this guy, and all the fun's going to start soon enough. But with Rochester, Austin Shanks, 2 goals. Kyle Jackson had a goal and an assist. Eric Fennell with a goal. Jake Withers, 14 out of 22 on the faceoffs. Phenomenal job there. Even picked up an assist. Cody Jamieson with a hat trick. Yeah, it went right on down the line. Even though the other players such as Corey Vitarelli didn't have a goal, Joe Restars didn't have a goal. They were kept off the score sheet, not registering a goal, but just getting the assist. So I don't know what type of game plan was there, but the rookies just came out and played for this Rochester team.
Well, Austin Shanks has been a pretty steady hand for the last 6-7 games. Kyle Jackson, I don't know if we can call him a rookie anymore.
No.
He has been there 2 years now, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, no.
The guys who were supposed to play did play.
Yeah. No, I wasn't including Kyle.
Picked up the slack for the guys who were being covered. Sid Smith, although he didn't have a point, he was in the face of everybody all night.
Yeah.
And he took a lot of the Swarm players off of their game. Completely off of their game.
Just a tad bit.
Oh, yeah. And he only wound up with, I think, 1 penalty out of that deal. So,
yeah.
His game plan was strict. He was going to be rough and tumble, and he was going to be in their face. And it worked, because these guys lost focus. And just enough for them to drop the game.
Yeah, and the thing is, you mentioned the penalty. You realize for the last 40 minutes of the game there wasn't a penalty called?
Yeah.
The last penalties were coincidental minors. As you mentioned, Sid Smith. He took Jordan McIntosh with him. Both got 2 minutes for roughing. That was at 5:08 of the second quarter. That was the last penalty of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, both these teams played hard and within the limitations without getting called for any type of penalties. But the rookies I was mentioning, it was Eric Fennell, Austin Shanks, just did what they had to do. Jake Withers, Nobody really expected them, all three of them, to make this type of an impact right off the bat like this. But,
right. No, I agree.
But, I mean, Jake Withers, with the way he's been on face-off draws, that's going to be a big part of this championship game. A lot of people say, well, no, face-offs, yeah, okay. You get an extra, possession. You start with the ball first or whatever. You put the other team back on defense. But in a championship matchup against Saskatchewan, you want to win every possible face-off you can.
Well, I'll be curious to see which Jeremy Thompson shows up because, in past, he's been money as a face-off man. This year, not so much.
No.
This year, he's in and around the 50% mark. And against Withers, that'll put him down around the 30% mark. That could be a huge turn.
Yeah, but I mean, and this is the case where, if you score a goal, you go up 1-0, you have the face-off, and you win the face-off, you got a chance to go up 2-0, just like that. So, face-offs are going to be a big part of this series. Again, a great season by Georgia. Miles Thompson had 4 goals. Lyle Thompson had a goal, 2 assists, but he also picked up 10 loose balls to lead the Swarm. You go down, and then you got to look at Shane Jackson with a goal and 5 assists. Randy Stotts, 2 goals, 3 assists. Joe White only picked up 1 assist. Jordan Hall with just an assist. So they shut Jordan Hall down.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think he would be, a big part in there. He didn't get anything. I mean, a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 goal scorers for the Swarm. That was it. They shut him down. Mike Poulin, 35 out of 44 saves, only allowed 9 goals. I mean, it's not like Georgia got run over. This was a single-digit game the whole way through. And once Rochester took the lead 4-3, that was it. That was the last time they ever, Georgia never saw the lead again. On the Rochester side, Austin Shanks, as we mentioned, 2 goals and an assist. Josh Currier with a goal. Scott Campbell, a transition goal with an assist. Eric Fennell with a goal. And jammer Cody Jamieson, 3 goals, 1 assist. And Jake Withers going 14 for 22 on the faceoffs, picking up 7 loose balls. And Matt Vince, I mean, I've seen him play so much, and everybody says, "Oh yeah, I watched him too on TV." Well, I've been down to the Blue Cross Arena a fair amount of times as just traveling there, but just how he plays, he can just steal the game. And Gary, last year when I can't remember what game it was, but when we were down on the floor, you watched him prepare himself. After he was done taking his warm-up shots, you saw him just walk on over near the line and just squat down and just focus in on every single shooter of the opposing team to see what they're doing and to see what that goalie is doing. And his focus is just unbelievable.
Yeah, most definitely. Second to none, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, the look he has, I will say it is a little intimidating because you're thinking, oh my God, if I have to talk to him at the end of the game, but he's just so focused in, watching the opposing shooters and watching the opposing goalie. So, no doubt that the goaltending is going to come into play here. So, Rochester advances, winning 9-8. Shots on goal were in favor of Georgia, 54-44. Loose ball, 69-62. Rochester won the face-off battle, 14-8. Rochester went 1 for 3 on the power play. Georgia was 1 for 1. No shorthanded goals. Only a total of 6 penalties. 4 power plays altogether. So it really wasn't a whole.
The 3 stars made sense. Matt Vince was your first star.
Yep.
Cody Jamieson was your second star. And Miles Thompson was your third star.
Yeah,
and there was no question about
that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no offense or buts there. I mean, you could even put up a fight for Mike Poulin, even though he was the losing goaltender. I mean, only allowing 9 goals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but when you have Miles Thompson putting in 4, and there it is again. Like I said, you can't have one guy score 50% of your goals and expect to win the game.
Yeah.
And that's just what happened here. Now, the second game. Calgary at Saskatchewan.
It looked like to be a carbon copy of the week before when Calgary beat Colorado.
Yes.
Where Calgary started off very slow. And all of a sudden picked it up. And it was a tale of 2 games, and they put a scare into Saskatchewan.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's, you're looking at Saskatchewan jumps out early, and then, Calgary comes back. You're looking 4-2 at the end of 1, 8-5 at the half, and you're like, okay, Russia holding a 3-goal lead. Second half's going to come around, and they're going to do what they have to do.
Now, the one who absolutely just, we've been talking about him all year, but who just absolutely turned my head completely was Christian Del Bianco. That kid can do anything.
Yeah.
His stick handling skills, passing skills, his being able to come out of the net and do things is incredible. He faced 60 shots, and he gave up 14 goals, and then there was an empty netter, right?
Yeah.
But, out of those 60 shots, I don't think he had any easy ones.
No. Not at all.
This game could have been a whole lot more lopsided if it was anybody else in net. I think Calgary will protect him for sure, and I think they have a very bright future with him in the nets.
Oh, yeah, they'd be crazy not to protect him.
That'd be sabotage if they didn't.
Yeah. I mean, put a little more muscle on those bones, and
well, that'll come with age, man. He's only 20 years old. Right?
Yeah. and it's a good thing maybe that they didn't win the cup this year, because he wouldn't be able to drink anything from it anyway.
Well, that's true. Except if it was in Calgary, then it'd be 19.
Right. But yeah, this was. I mean, Calgary comes back and makes it 8-8, and the Sasktel Center, I heard it get very quiet in there. Even though some of the fans were yelling and screaming, it wasn't like it normally was. It kind of got a little quiet when Dane Dobby scored to tie the game up just 5 minutes into the third quarter.
It's funny, though, because, Evan Schemenauer made mention in his article about, of course it's a game of runs and momentum. And it's strange how sometimes the strangest plays are the things that will change momentum. And when Calgary tied it, and then Robert Church scored for Saskatchewan to make it 9-8 with a shot that I believe hit the crossbar and fell just over the line.
Yeah.
And again, by the time things are challenged or whatever, it was waved off originally. And then Keenan, of course, challenge was an easy challenge for the goal. But all of a sudden, boom, Saskatchewan's now on a 4-goal run. And we're off to the races again.
Yeah.
And 6 of the next 7 goals were Saskatchewan. And basically, he was said and done at that point.
Yeah, because then at that point, out of those 6 out of the next 7, you're looking at a 14-9 score. Because you mentioned the goal by Robert Church, and then at 11:07, Jeff Shatler scored.
Yeah, Church again at 12:29,
and then Ben McIntosh
on the power play.
A minute later, yeah. So the 2 Drexel boys teamed up again, doing damage. Then Westberg stopped the run with just under a second to go in the third quarter. And I thought right there that would turn the game around a bit for Calgary.
Yeah, and that was an interesting one, too, because it did look like time had expired.
Yeah.
And it was funny because even with challenges still looked like time had expired.
Yeah, and
I don't know what clock they were watching, but mine was a couple of seconds ahead, I think.
And that's where, like you said, there needs to be a clock down on the screen or in view.
It has to be on the screen. It has to be in all these view camera angles, because it doesn't matter what angle you're looking at. They have to have a clock on there.
Have to, yeah. So you could see if the 30-second shot clock went off, or if time expires, or even to show how much time should be on the clock.
Well, yeah, because we wasted an awful lot of time doing that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at that point, if Saskatchewan comes back to their credit with two quick ones in the fourth, in the first 4 minutes, and even though Calgary still made a big run, 4 out of the next 5 goals, they fell short.
Right. Yeah, they made it 14-11, and then with just 3 minutes and a second to go, that's when Ryan Dilks put in the empty netter to make it 15-11, and then.
But then it's weird because Calgary's 4 goals, 3 of them were on the power play, and 1 was with an extra attacker.
Yeah.
So what a way to finish this thing.
Yeah.
And Saskatchewan's only goal there was an empty netter. So yeah, you had for those of you who like to see different types of goals, you had a little bit of everything there.
Yeah, and with Mark Ardonio being the official,
nothing surprises me whatsoever what happened.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious to see what roughing crew.
I have a feeling we're going to see the Chris Williams crew.
The whole series, or you think they're going to?
I think with two of the 3 games, I don't know if they'll be in the first or the second game, but you're going to see that Chris Williams crew because they seem to make the least amount of errors.
Yeah, I got a funny feeling we're going to see Gardonio in Rochester.
I think we might see LaBranche because we're going to have to put this into a Western rep too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to put him in Saskatchewan or you're going to put him up in Rochester, but one way or the other, I think we're going to see those 2 crews.
Oh, as long as you don't see Gardonio.
If you do see Gardonio, you might be doing a linesman job, because we do have 3 of them on the floor.
Yeah, or he might be sitting in the box.
That I don't see.
Yeah.
I don't think his ego would let him do that one.
No, but I want to see the officials allow these 2 teams to play the game, play it hard, and if it's a just penalty, then yes, call it. But don't do any of these little
penalties have to stop.
Right, the little ticky-tack calls, and he went to go hit the stick and he just nipped his ankle with his stick, so I'm calling a slash. No, let them play the game.
Yeah. We'd like to see more diving called.
Yeah.
Just to get rid of it, because it is infuriating.
Yes.
It's infuriating during the year, and it's even more infuriating during the playoffs.
Yeah, especially, we'll bring one player up, and I'm pretty sure this one's right on the top of your list, Sean Evans.
Well, yeah, he always comes to mind when you're talking about diving, and
right.
I don't know how many penalties over the career he's drawn on just ridiculousness.
Right, but if it's a dive, and it's, if you're overacting it, I'll say, embellishing. That's the word I was looking for. Embellishing the call. You should get a 2-minute unsportsmanlike, just like they do in hockey. You're trying to add more. Just like when a guy gets tripped up in hockey, you see him basically doing a swan dive onto the ice. You have that here in these games. Players should be called for it. But yeah, I just want to see them, the officials, allow the players to decide the game. I don't want to see 30 calls made and this team have 8 power plays and the other one have 10 and everything else, unless it's warranted. Okay? And knowing these 2 teams the way we do, I don't think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see a very hard-fought series coming up. I really do. But again, Saskatchewan strengthen, use their muscle here, and they come up, they defeat Calgary 15-13. Now, you look at the score sheet for Calgary. Westberg, 4 goals and an assist. Curtis Dixon, 6 goals, 4 assists for him. Holden Katoni, a goal and 4 assists. Dane Dobby, 2 goals, 9 assists. 11 points for Dobby on the night, 5 for Katoni, 10 for Dixon, 5 for Berg. You would hear that, you would think Calgary won the game. From that, because on for Saskatchewan, you just had Robert Church with 3-3, and Ben McIntosh with 3-3. They were the two that had the hat tricks. Mark Matthews 2-5, typical Mark Matthews game there. So yeah, they spread it all around. Ryan Dukes with 2, Keenan with a goal and 3 assists, Dinsdale a goal and 3.
Curtis Knight had a goal as well.
Well, Shatler 1-1. Yeah.
Matt Hossack had a goal.
Yeah, I mean, and here
it was all over the place, up and down.
Yeah,
but that's what Saskatchewan is known for.
Yeah,
they're known for being able to score transitionally very quickly. They're known for having an offense that doesn't rely on any one person, and also having Mark Matthews as the quarterback.
Right. And, I
wonder, are they going to put Dan Dawson in the lineup?
Yeah, because you haven't seen him at all.
No, he's played one or two games. That's it, and more or less he's played left press box since.
Yeah, I don't know what's what's going on. Maybe he's not making the practices because of his job, and don't know. But I would be very shocked if he's not playing in game number 2. To be honest with you.
I don't know. It all depends on what they have for a game plan.
Yeah.
Or fits in it or not.
I would think they would have him dress for game 2 in Rochester. Who knows?
Possible, but again, I think especially if they win game 1, I don't think they care if they're playing on the moon.
Yeah.
He does everything he can to avenge last year's defeat, and whatever it takes, however it takes.
Yeah, and like I said, it's going to be a real interesting series. I mean, because you look at some of the players on Saskatchewan. Robert Church had 15 shots. The next closest was Ben McIntosh and Curtis Knight here. Each had 7 shots, and Mark Matthews had 9. But other than that, Church had 15 shots on goal. So he's the one that's going to be firing away there. But then you have Thompson, like you mentioned before, 12 for 26 on the faceoffs, below 50% there. So. Yeah, and then they got Mike Messenger, who won 3 out of 5. So it looks like they're going to probably try to mix it up against Jake Withers. But then again, they got a whole week to get the bumps and bruises healed. Get a practice, start getting a game plan going. Evan Kirk. I believe this is his first appearance in the Champions Cup. So there might be some butterflies there, even though he's, he did win the Man Cup. So he does have championship game experience. And he's going to be going up against Matt Vince.
Yeah, I don't think you have to worry about Evan Kirk, whether he's going to have nerves or not.
No. I don't think so either, especially with that
defense in front of him. I don't think there's
Yeah. I think the only thing Saskatchewan...
The only thing that would hurt Saskatchewan is if Evan Kirk got hurt.
I was going there. I was going to go there. I was going to say the only thing they really have to worry about is making sure that Carlson can count the 5 and open and shut the door right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Kirk gets hurt or whatever, that could be some serious trouble. But this series,
then you're going to see a brand new defensive scheme, pretty much.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see a brand new defensive scheme anyway, because the 2 times that these teams met this season, Rochester won them both. Once in Saskatchewan and once in Rochester. Now,
but what have we said?
Playoffs are a different type of animal.
And time again, it is damn near impossible to sweep a team. The 3 in a row, I don't buy it.
You never know, but I don't see this going 2 games. I see it going 3. I really do.
I'm on the fence on that one.
I'd have to see how game 1 goes first, to be honest with you, because I think this is going to be too close to call. I really do.
As it stands now, I tip my hat towards Saskatchewan. But we'll see. There's still almost a week and a half before the first game is played.
Yeah, we got 9 days before game one. Yes, Saskatchewan has the firepower.
A lot can happen in that time, and like I say, anything is possible. I tip my hat slightly to Saskatchewan just on a number of small things. One, I think they're a more rounded team. I think they're a more veteran team. Number two, I think they have a chip on their shoulder.
From last year.
And that comes from last year's defeat on something they should have won.
Right.
And that'll still screw up the thing there. They'll be like The Rock, being there 4 times and still winning only 3 then.
Right. Yeah, and the one time these two teams did meet in 2012. That was when the Rush was in, when they were in Edmonton, and they were up 5-1 at the half. Yeah, it was a tale of 2 games, and it was exactly the same, the opposite. Yes.
In the second half, and there you have it. And that was Rochester's beginning of a dynasty.
Right. That was that was their first cup of the three-peat, because they ended up winning that game 9-6 over the Rush at that point. So, yes, these teams have met in the Champions Cup. They met twice this past season.
I'm just looking forward to seeing the new cup live and in color.
Hopefully we do, yeah.
Well, it's going to be there somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah. Should we go on a mission and try?
Bloodhounds out there and root it out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I expect for it to be. I mean, I'm thinking it's going to be back behind the net at one point, and probably back by the locker room somewhere. You know, in the back before they start to take it out and bring it out, but
then again, you know, we may never see it there because if it's 1-1, we're not going to see it.
Well, somebody's going to be up 1-0 going into Rochester.
Well, of course, the cup will be in Rochester, but
right.
Whether we see it or not, whether it gets unpackaged,
yeah,
that's a whole other story.
I would like to see it unpackaged so I get some pictures of it.
I wouldn't mind myself, but you know, I don't have that call.
No. Who knows? Maybe they might. Yeah, they might do something different because this is a different regime.
Well, I would love to see it out in the lobby and you line up and take a picture with it. That would be nice too, right?
That would be nice. Also, I think it would be great if they have it out in the middle of the floor prior to the game during the national anthems.
I don't see that happening at all, but
yeah, and I'm thinking, just something different,
That's way different. I don't think you'll ever see that happen.
Yeah, I mean, you put it out there in the middle. While
that goes against tradition. That just won't happen.
That's tradition. There's been so much done in this league as far as tradition goes.
True.
I mean, come on.
That one I think would irk a lot of outside fans too.
Yeah. You know what? Put it in the middle. Let the team say, "Hey, this is what you're fighting for. Are you hungry for it? Okay, boom, take it off the floor and we get going." That's what you do. But I like your idea though. You have it, somewhere where the fans can,
They do that with the Grey Cup, off the side of the arena. They have it there, and people take pictures with it.
Yeah.
And then you go in the game, and it shows its head up at the end of the game. It's not there for the national anthem. It's not there at the half. It's not going to do a dance for you.
No.
It's just going to be there at the end for the winner.
No.
And if there's no winner, if it goes back 1-1, sorry, you'll have to go to the next game to see the cup.
See the cup, yeah. No, what I think would really be nice, though, is if we can get the commissioner to bring it to the stock exchange. We have it sitting on the table as we do the show.
It'd be lovely, I'll see if I can get him to agree to that.
Yeah.
I mean, now, I don't think...
No.
We'll see.
No, I think I would have a better chance of making the Philadelphia Wings next year than that happening.
Yeah, as the face-off guy.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, brand new cup for this one. It looks really nice. The more I looked at it, and
yeah,
Yeah, because it is kind of narrow at the bottom.
Narrow, but it's got that long thing that you're going to have two people hold it.
Yeah.
You can do shotguns with it.
They're kind of curious to see what, how you can drink out of that. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting series. We're obviously going to be having, hopefully soon, an announcement of when the coin flip is going to be. Because as we said before, it was supposed to be the end of May, sometime in the beginning of June. So my guess would be that it's going to be done during the playoff series is my thinking. I don't know. As we said before, the winner of the coin flip chooses whether they want to pick first in the expansion draft or the NLL entry draft. And I don't know when the deadline is, Gary. I don't know if you've heard anything of when the teams need to hand in their protected and unprotected roster. My guess would be if the series goes 3 games, I would think by the week ending on June 16th. Because the 9th would be game...
But I haven't heard anything, and things have been very eerily quiet.
Yeah.
As the final touches are going, especially with the playoff teams, who obviously aren't concentrating on what their lists are going to be.
Right. I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. If it goes 3, where that would be June 9th would be the last game, I'm thinking 1 week later is when, like that Friday, the 15th, we'll say, may be when they have to have their list in.
That makes good sense, yeah.
Yeah, or maybe 30 days to whenever they do the draft. So whatever the draft day is going to be in July, then I guess that's when they're going to do, go 30 days back. Something like that, because the expansion draft has to be done before free agency signing starts. And that starts on August 1st. So between now and August 1st, you have games 1 and 2, possibly game 3 of the Champions Cup final. March 26th, May 26th in Saskatchewan, game 1, 9:30. June 2nd in Rochester, 8 p.m. All times are Eastern. June 9th is to be determined as far as time. If there is a game 3, it will be in Saskatchewan. Just don't know the time. Maybe around the same time again, 9:30. But you're also going to have the coin flip at that time and the expansion unprotected list put out there, as well as free agency lists and everything. Then starting on July 1st, every team in the league, including the San Diego Seals and the Philadelphia Wings, can start talking to all free agents. Now also keep in mind that free agents are not eligible to be picked during the expansion draft. Only the players on the unprotected list are the ones to be picked from. And each team can only lose a maximum of 2 players, and there are no takebacks, meaning if somebody's taken from Georgia cannot pull 1 player back after that. So the most each team can lose is 2 players. July 1st starts the free agency talks. You can talk to any free agent you want, but you cannot sign them until August 1st. So in between July 1st and August 1st, you're going to have the expansion draft. Sometime, I believe, between the 14th and the end of the month. Don't know if it's going to be on a weekend or a weekday. Most likely done via conference call. So when the lists come out, we're obviously going to be looking to say, who we think is going to be picked. A lot of them are probably going to be easy because, certain players work in certain areas of the country. So, we used, I believe it was Zach Greer as an example. He works out in California. Chances are, if he's left unprotected, San Diego's going to take him. Over in the East, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, we saw last week that Paul Day picked up. Oh God, help me out here. Small, that's right, for Peterborough. Yeah, so Corey Small. So we know he wanted to come back east. So who's not to say he picked him up for Peterborough and he's getting a good look at him and thinking, hey, if they're going to leave you unprotected, I'm going to take you for Philadelphia. So things are going to get, really interesting. And then you have the combine dates. There's 5 of them going around between Dallas, San Diego, Langley, Philadelphia, and Toronto. You have all 5 of those combines that are going to be done throughout the summer prior to the NLL entry draft. So the next 6 weeks, Gary, things are going to start getting exciting.
Yeah, as well as MSL picks up at the end of this month.
Yep. The MLL's already.
They will be jumping around all over the place.
Yeah, the MSL.
I will be in Oakville with the Rock. I will be in Brooklyn with the Redmen, and I will be in Brampton with the Excelsiors.
And
so that will keep me pretty busy.
Yeah, the only place I will be is if I get a chance to go down to Chesapeake to see the Bayhawks in the outdoor league for a little MLL action because we can't travel out west and we don't have any MSL teams around here. What I may do is tune in for a game or two on the WLA site and see how some of the Western teams are doing. But that it'd be easy enough to cover them, over the internet, to see how the teams are going and everything. That's the one thing I miss about being here. There's no MSL teams around that we can go and see unless we travel across the border, so to speak. But it's going to get quite interesting with everything going on right now. We have the championship series coming up, and then after that, July 1st, people can start talking about, oh my God, look at what Philly's doing, look at what San Diego is doing. Everything starts getting, in motion. Patrick Merrill, is now the head coach and GM over in San Diego. Him and, Josh Sanderson are paired together. What kind of team are they going to try to put together? What kind of team is Paul Day going to, put together? Who's going to be his assistant coaches? We haven't even heard anything there.
No, not a thing.
Not for his coaching staff, nothing whatsoever. It's like kept hush hush right now. Nobody can get anything. I'll let you know I tried. So it's everything's kind of almost under kind of lock and key right now. But it's starting to feel like a kid at Christmas time right now. I know that. July 1st, which is 45 days from now, is when my hometown team, is back in the mix in the National Lacrosse League and can start talking to free agents. That's the first step. That's the first step of the Philadelphia Wings returning to the National Lacrosse League, and the San Diego Seals jumping into the water as a fresh new team. And I think it's going to be extremely exciting. I really do. I mean, not just looking at it from a Philadelphia Wings standpoint, but getting the San Diego Seals in, looking to see where the expansion draft goes, who goes where, see where the free agents go, because a lot of these teams just went with 1-year contracts on certain players. Wondering, a lot of people wondering, is Kevin Crowley going to return back to Philadelphia? Is New England going to sign him at the last second and try to work, a sign and trade deal? Zach Greer will he go to San Diego to be closer to home? You mentioned the Calgary goalies, Gary. Will Christian Del Bianco be protected? Or does Calgary see somebody coming out of, the OLA maybe, that they want to be their starter, that they think can jump right in? Who knows? Will Frank Sigiano maybe go to Vancouver and maybe be their number one there? Who is Vancouver going to protect?
Who should they protect? Nobody.
The only one I would see protecting is Reese Dutch and Logan Shush.
Yeah.
That's it. But I mean,
late that would be a stretch.
Yeah. So you have that going there, and some of these teams may have complete overhauls. Just don't know. Toronto, who are they going to protect? Who's going to sign as a free agent? And certain players might have been upset that they weren't in the lineup when they feel they should have been.
I don't know. I'm hoping that by some stretch, the rumors were that Brad Cree would be left unprotected. I hope they keep him, because we already lost him once.
Right.
And I don't want to see him gone again, because he's a good face-off guy. He's also a big, strong body and is a pretty good defenseman. And that would be a shame if we lost him.
Yeah, if they leave him unprotected, I would like to see who else would be unprotected as far as face-off personnel. I'm thinking of this as, on the Philadelphia side. If you look at, New England leaves Jay Thornberry unprotected. And, you got a choice. Thornberry or Brad Cree. I'd go Cree.
So would I.
You look at that way. Dylan Evans, he's another face-off guy that New England has that they signed off of Rochester's practice squad. He was on there. So, you got a face-off guy there, or maybe New England keeps Dylan Evans to have him as the practice, the face-off.
I have a feeling between the drafts, the free agency, is you're going to have to buy a program in the first couple of weeks of your teams just to know who in the heck is on the damn team.
Yeah,
there'll be an awful lot of movement.
Yeah, if you've never watched any of the games or just watched some of them, you're going to need a program to say, oh, wow, who's this guy? Oh, now I know him.
I think there's going to be unprecedented movement this summer. So it's going to be very interesting come the fall when they have the drafts and everything like that as well. It's going to be very interesting by the time these teams put together their training camps, who's in which camp.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see who loses the most, who has the biggest turnaround. Like the one year, I'll use the Philadelphia Wings as an example, when they were getting their Team USA together at the time. A lot of players opted not to play the indoor season because of the outdoor championships that were going to go on.
Yeah, Paul Rabel's still favored there in Philadelphia, is he not?
Yeah, okay.
I believe he's on most houses' front windows there. They have his picture.
Oh, yeah, Yeah, with a bullseye target on his head.
Oh, no, I would imagine he'd be elected for mayor, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, last time I checked, Toronto still has his rights.
You can pick that up for 3 packs of gum and maybe a 5-cent lighter.
And I think a little case of Tic Tacs might help.
That might put it over the edge and nobody's going to take it.
Take it, right. So, I mean, when you looked at that...
Give him away. He's unprotected and we still won't be able to give him away.
No. And, and this is what I'm talking about. When that happened, the Philadelphia Wings at the time had like a 10-player turnover at that point. And that was just coming off a year prior where they added 10 American players.
At least he was good enough to tell us he wasn't going to come here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just...
Mind you, watching him at Heritage Cup last year, that's probably the best thing he's ever done for our team, is not come here.
Not go there. Yeah, I think he's just, sitting out until his contract's over, and that's, really it. He's happy doing the stuff that he's doing for one of the, lacrosse websites and playing the outdoor game, and that's really it.
Yep, he'll just keep peddling his equipment, and that'll be the end of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he could have been one of the greats in the indoor game.
He had a couple of pretty good years with the Stealth.
Yeah. And then he had a real good year his first year in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And then after that, as they like to say, just shit the bed.
Well.
So, yeah, there's, other players you think about that are out there. Brandon Miller. Are they going to, chances are they're not going to protect Brandon Miller.
No.
Because obviously...
I don't think anybody's going to waste their draft pick.
Right,
picking him up.
Right, because Nick Rose is obviously the number one man. Right, and then they have their backup, who they want. So, if nobody picks up Brandon, do you think Toronto would still invite him into camp?
They'd invite him for sure.
Yeah, to see maybe he could still be the backup, and the backup that they drafted last year, maybe he's still a year off.
Well, don't forget, Riley Hutchcraft is actually playing Junior A again this year because he's young enough. He's got one more year in Mimico.
Yeah.
Well, that's how young he is. So there's no hurry for him to come up.
No. So who knows? I mean, maybe Philadelphia will take a shot at Brandon Miller. Have him as the backup. Maybe depending on who they pick up in, goalie wise. That's what you have to, look at. Who's out there? I mean, I don't know if I would take a chance on Siciliano. I was going to say Agnes Goodleaf, but I believe he is a free agent along with Matt Vince. So maybe Philadelphia goes after Goodleaf to be their starter.
Possible.
Because I know it, and everybody else knows it. Once free agency starts, Kurt Stiers is going to say, Vino, sign this. Here you go. And that's it. Okay, I don't see him leaving Rochester. Okay, I mean, even though I would love to see, the Philly brass talk to him and try to sway him to come here, that ain't going to happen. In reality, that ain't happening. So I can see Goodleaf coming here. Buffalo, I think they stay with Bouquet. Give him another shot.
They also have DeRuscio, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, got to see how he is coming back. And here's their problem. You got Zach Higgins.
Yeah, the man who I think should be their starter.
Yeah. So, if you're Buffalo, what do? You got Higgins, Bouquet, and DeRuscio. Who do you protect?
Higgins.
And then you risk losing Bouquet and DeRuscio. Well, DeRuscio, he'll be coming off an injury. So if Bouquet, if Bouquet's left out there.
DeRuscio looked big on TV, man. When I was up in the press box and he was standing beside me, Jesus, that lives and he's in Buffalo. He's huge, man.
Yeah. So you just wonder if anybody would take a flyer on Bouquet or DeRuscio.
Well, barring anything and nothing left above it, I think they're both pretty safe.
Yeah.
I really don't think that people are pounding down Buffalo's doors. Chugger, do you think you can let us have one of them goalies? I don't think anybody's knocking.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll have to wait and see, all this happening once the teams, put out their, unprotected list. Then we could, have fun with it and, who do we think will actually be brought over and who we don't think, they're not even going to bother. the team's going to be stuck with them. Then we'll see the free agent list, and so we got a lot of fun happening. But again, June 2nd is game number 2, Gary. That is when we will be back together again, doing a live show. We had a great time doing it before. We did it. It's going to be our 3rd live one that we did together.
Yep.
We did one in 2014 when Rochester three-peated and they defeated Calgary for the Cup. We did one then. We did one last year from the hotel room.
Yep.
Prior to a game. I think that was before the Rochester
New
England game. We did that.
Yeah, that was on the weird weekend, yep.
Yeah, and now we're going to do one for game 2 of the Cup again. So, again, we're going to have the Hulk will be joining us on the show. And maybe even some other fans. We'll bring them over, and but I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of the people from Saskatchewan, and they
I hope they're able to swing that deal that Kelvin was talking about and really bring up busloads, so to speak, plane loads of them.
Yeah.
That'll be fantastic. We have that kind of energy inside the Blue Cross Arena.
Yeah, and believe it or not, the energy actually gets started at the stock exchange because they will be going wild in there before the championship game, that's for sure. And, for the people in Saskatchewan that will listen to this podcast, wear your jerseys. You don't have a thing to worry about. You don't have one single solitary thing. You won't have any fans coming after you, pushing you for a fight or whatever. You want to support your team, go right ahead. This is coming from a person from Philly who has been in Rochester wearing a Philadelphia Wings jersey. You have nothing to worry about in there.
No, I wear Rock jerseys all the time.
Yeah, I mean, they may rag on you if they're winning or whatever, but hey, when it's all said and done, the clock strikes 0, hey, join me over at the stock exchange, I'll buy you a beer. That's what ends up happening. Beer, shots, everybody has a good old time. And, they won't be disappointed in the food whatsoever. At least in my eyes. That's how I feel. I mean, John is a whiz back there on the grill. You have JD and him also behind the bar. So, Kate's usually there serving up drinks. The beer's reasonable. All the drinks are reasonable. It's a great time. I mean, you can attest to that, Gary.
Yes, I can.
It's fun. So, I'm really looking forward to seeing a bunch of the people from Saskatchewan. I mean, you talk to them through social media, and it's like, okay, you wonder if you're ever going to meet them. And the time is now, June 2nd, game 2 in Rochester. You told me about them. Now, I get to meet them. I think it's going to be one hell of a series.
Yeah, I hope they make it up, man, because they're awesome people. I really hope to see them.
Yeah, from what you told me, hey, I really hope they make it, some way, shape, or form. And, there's 3 hotels in that area. You got the Holiday Inn, the Hyatt, and the Radisson. Sometimes the Radisson is usually the cheapest of the 3. If you go on Priceline, that's what I usually do. And that's like right across from the stock exchange. So, that's why I'm going to wait and see what one comes out before I make my reservations. But everything is in walking distance from whatever hotel you stay at in downtown Rochester. So, until next week, when we start to get down to the nitty-gritty and talk about Game 1, the matchups, what we think each team needs to do, and who we think is going to stand out in the first game. Gary, it's been a hell of a regular season, and it's been a hell of a playoff run so far. Colorado can't get over that first hump. Calgary owns them, and they almost got past Saskatchewan. So, Rochester gets by Georgia. There's your matchup. A rematch of 2012. Rochester Nighthawks against the now Saskatchewan Rush. Best of 3 series. Game 1, a week from Saturday, March 26th. May 26th. Gee, why do I keep on saying March? May 26th, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's the Twitter game of the week, obviously. It's also on NLL TV and also on the CBS Sports Network. We will be back here again next week to talk about Game 1 and talk about this series. So, for Gary Grube at laxphilly.com, I'm Rocco Granato at InLacrosseWeTrust.com. We'll see everybody here again next week, and only a couple weeks away until a live show of Behind the Bench. We'll see everybody here again next week.